Sometimes greatness doesn't begin with a cheer. It begins in silence. It begins with a mirror you don't want to look into. I know because that was me. 20 years old, GPA in the gutter, flunked out of college. Sitting alone in my mom's shop, staring at my reflection, wondering if I'd already blown my shot. That was my rock bottom, no applause, no spotlight, just a doubt. Then a stranger walked in, locked eyes with me through that mirror. She didn't know my name, didn't know my story, but she looked straight through the failure and said, "You're going to travel the world. You're going to speak to millions." I almost laughed because the gap between who I was and who she saw, it felt impossible. But hear me, sometimes before you see the light, you've got to sit in the dirt. Before you grow roots, you've got to be buried. Before you become something great, you have to face the version of yourself you don't want to be. And if that's where you are right now, lost, stuck, doubting, good, that means the story isn't over yet. This moment you're in, it's not the end, it's the beginning. And it's not about looking ready, it's about choosing not to quit when no one's clapping. Because if you can stand tall in the silence, you're already winning. See, once you get past the fear of not knowing, there's another wall waiting, the fear of failing. That voice that whispers, what if I mess up? What if I lose? But let me ask you this, what if losing is exactly what teaches you how to win? Too many people play small, not because they lack potential, but because they're scared of falling in front of somebody. They'd rather sit in the stands than risk missing a shot on the court. But the truth is, the greatest wins are born from the biggest stumbles. You don't grow in safety, you grow in struggle. Let me make this real. You want to be a writer, then write something terrible and finish it. You want to build a business, then launch before it's perfect and learn while it breathes. You want to act, sing, speak, create, then fall flat in front of an audience and come back the next night stronger. That's how you build something no one can take from you. Look around at the people you admire. Their highlight reels weren't built without bruises. Oprah was fired. Spielberg was rejected from film school twice. Michael Jordan got cut from his high school varsity team. Steve Jobs got kicked out of the very company he started. And me? I laughed out of a Broadway audition, stood there with my sheet music trembling in my hands while the room went cold and quiet. I bombed, and I came back because that's what it takes. You don't need more comfort, you need more chances to get it wrong and show up anyway. Forget perfection, chase boldness. Set goals so big they scare you and then go after them with everything you've got, knowing full well you might fall flat, fail loudly, fail proudly, but fail forward. Because failure isn't the opposite of success, it's the blueprint for it. And the more willing you are to lose in front of people, the more dangerous you become in the game. This world doesn't need more polished resumes. It needs more people who are unapologetically chasing something real. Momentum without direction is chaos. Motion without clarity is just noise. In today's world, everybody's moving, but ask yourself, are they moving forward or just spinning fast in place? You see, there's a difference between hustle and progress. One looks busy, the other builds quietly. And the difference is spelled in two words: discipline and consistency. Those aren't flashy words. They're not trending. They don't get applause or likes. But if you're serious about becoming something real, something lasting, you better fall in love with them fast. Let me put it this way. Have you ever seen someone running on a treadmill? They're sweating, focused, moving, but they're not going anywhere. Some of us live our lives on that treadmill, doing more, juggling everything but gaining nothing. Why? Because discipline isn't about doing everything, it's about doing the right thing over and over when nobody's watching. You don't need more apps. You need more follow-through. You don't need 5 planners. You need one promise kept every day. Show up when you said you would. Push through when you feel like coasting. Do the thing, even when nobody's cheering you on. That's what separates the good from the great. Michael Jordan didn't become great just by playing games. He became great because he showed up in empty gyms. Serena Williams didn't become a champion on the big stage. She built it in early mornings, reps, drills, and discipline. The same principle applies whether you're building a company, a craft, a mindset, or a legacy. Your real progress. It happens in silence. It happens in your choices. What time you get up, how you treat the hours, what you feed your mind when no one else is watching. It's boring, relentless, unglamorous work, but that's what makes it unstoppable. So if today feels slow, small, unremarkable, good, that means you're building something real. That means you're not chasing performance, you're becoming a person of weight. And that's the kind of person the world can't shake. There's a moment in life when you stop measuring success by how high you've climbed and start asking what you carried with you and who you lifted on the way. That moment when the applause fades and the noise dies down, that's where this truth hits. You can't take any of it with you. Not the trophies, not the money, not the followers, not the fancy title etched into the email signature. The Egyptians tried burying their gold, sealed their power in stone, but even their tombs got robbed. So let me ask you, what are you doing with what you have while you're here? Not just the resources, but the voice, the time, the experience, the lessons bought through blood and bruises. What are you doing with that? The world teaches us to hoard, to accumulate, to chase. But real power, lasting impact is in what you give away, the smile you didn't have to give, the hand you reached back with, the wisdom you shared so someone else wouldn't crash like you did. That's legacy. That's wealth that doesn't rot or rust. That's a life that echoes long after you're gone. And here's the twist. Giving isn't selfless. It's one of the most self-fulfilling things you'll ever do. Why? Because contribution brings clarity. When you pour into others, it confirms what's been poured into you. The return is internal, quiet, deep, no camera catches it, but it changes you. Some of you have been gifted with presence, some with patience, others with strategy, vision, endurance, creativity, resilience. These aren't accidents. These are assignments. The question is, will you bury what you've been given, or will you build with it? Will you wait for someone to recognize it, or will you use it even when no one's watching? Because here's the real check. When your moment comes, when your name is just a memory, what will outlive you? Not the cars, not the bank account, but the people you lifted, the paths you cleared, the lives you shifted just by showing up fully and giving what only you could. There's a secret that quiet giants know the kind of people who build legacies instead of chasing attention. They know how to look life in the face long before the win, long before the door opens, long before the crowd shows up, and still whisper thank you. Not out of naivety, out of clarity, because they've learned that gratitude is a strategy. It's not just a feeling you catch after success, it's a posture you hold before it. See, when you say thank you in advance, you're not just being optimistic, you're building expectations. You're training your spirit to see what others miss. You're creating alignment between who you are and where you're headed. That kind of mindset doesn't wait for proof. It walks like the future's already been signed. And this isn't about toxic positivity or pretending everything's perfect. It's about honoring the hard path with reverence. It's about kneeling down when nobody else understands the grind and still being able to say, thank you for this breath, for this storm, for this lesson, for this waiting season, for this next shot. There is a pair of slippers placed so deep under your bed that you're forced to get on your knees to retrieve them. That's not just poetic. That's practical. It's saying, before I get up and face this world, I'm going to acknowledge something greater than me. I'm going to remind myself this life didn't promise me anything, so everything I have is already more than I deserved. Imagine starting your day like that, not with urgency, but with intention. not with comparison, but with conviction. Your energy changes, your decisions sharpen, your pressure fades, because when you approach the day with gratitude already in your chest, you've already won before the clock even starts ticking. So keep grinding, keep planning, keep aiming high. But while you're at it, slow down just long enough to say thank you. Thank you for the unseen grace, for the opportunities that haven't shown up yet, for the version of yourself you're still becoming. Because when you walk in expectation, you don't panic when the breakthrough takes time. You don't crumble when you're underestimated. You build in silence and say thank you out loud. You can feel it in the room when someone's just clocking in, and when someone walks in with purpose, there's a different weight in the way they shake hands, look people in the eyes, sit down at the table, because they're not just there to take, they're there to build, to impact, to change something. We didn't sugarcoat it, we didn't dress it up in applause or fake inspiration, we laid it out clearly. The world doesn't need more people chasing checks. The world needs people who show up to shift the atmosphere, people who don't just want to make a living but make a difference. What does that look like? It's the teacher who stays after school with the kid everyone else gave up on, the nurse who treats every patient like their own family, the entrepreneur who builds not just to sell but to solve. It's the leader who listens, the teammate who sacrifices, the stranger who steps up without needing credit. It's doing what you do, not for attention but for impact, not for praise but for principle. And yes, that might mean fewer headlines, less hype, but it also means deeper roots, greater legacy, real fulfillment. You want to know what separates the extraordinary from the average? It's not talent. It's why they do it. People who show up with purpose don't just ask, what do I get? They ask, what do I leave behind? And let me be practical. You don't need to be famous to make a difference. You don't need a platform or 1 million followers. You just need a decision to be excellent, to be kind, to show up prepared, to finish what you started, to treat your craft like it matters, because it does. Every hallway, every office, every stage, every back room, every hospital, every neighborhood needs people who don't just exist but elevate, who brings light, who lifts others, who leave people better than they found them. And when you live that way, when you stop asking how to get more and start asking how to give more, you don't just change your life. You ripple, you spread, you shift families, you heal cultures, you leave something behind that U-Hauls could never carry. So whatever you're building, make it mean something. You will fail, you will fall. And if you're doing anything that matters, you better. There is a certain belief that people who play it safe never change anything. They stay on the porch while the rest of the world gets built by the ones who had the guts to fall face first, chasing something real. There's a myth out there that needs to die, and it's this, that success is a straight line, that it looks like step A to B to C, that it's clean, predictable, affirming. That's a lie. Real growth, real greatness, it's jagged, it's painful, it's personal. It will break you open before it builds you up. That's what falling forward looks like. Not just getting knocked down, but rising up in the same place you once failed, wiser, stronger, unshakable. Failure is not the problem. Fear of failure is. It's the silent killer of talent, the invisible chain that keeps brilliant people stuck in average lives. But the moment you flip the switch and see failure as feedback, as formation, as a filter to test how bad you want it, you become unstoppable. Let's be practical. Apply to something you don't think you're qualified for. Send the pitch you've been rewriting for months. Tell someone what you actually want from life. Say yes to the opportunity you feel underprepared for. Start before you're ready, because newsflash, you'll never be ready. But you can be willing to fall on your face, willing to look foolish, willing to swing and miss, willing to stumble with purpose. Because you know every forward fall teaches you something. Staying safe never will. And when it happens when you fall, stay down just long enough to learn, then get up and walk again? Even if your knees are scraped, even if your voice is shaky, even if your pride took a hit, get up wiser, get up quicker, get up and swing harder next time. Because one day the same people who doubted you, who laughed, who dismissed you, will watch you build something they can't ignore. They'll ask you how you did it, and you'll say, I didn't wait to feel ready, I just kept falling forward. And don't forget this, every person who's done something meaningful, something impactful, has a pile of failure behind them. They just didn't camp there. They turned every loss into leverage. So if you feel lost, tired, bruised up by life, good. That means you're in motion. That means you're in the fight. That means you're not wasting this one wild life watching from the sidelines. Let others fall back. You foul forward. When the lights go down and the noise fades, when your name isn't trending, when no one's calling your phone or clapping their hands, what will be left? That's legacy. And it's not the car, it's not the titles, it's not the number in your bank account. It's who you lifted, it's what you gave. It's what still stands when you're no longer in the room. And that doesn't require fame. It doesn't require perfection. It requires intention, a choice that with what you do have, your time, your voice, your lessons, your love, you build something that outlasts you. Maybe you've got money, maybe you've got resilience, maybe you've got the patience to listen when no one else will. Whatever it is, don't waste it. The world's got enough critics, enough consumers, enough people waiting to be served. What it needs is builders, guerriers, people willing to light someone else's fire without asking for credit. You want to know what success really is? It's reaching back. It's saying, come with me to someone who's still stuck where you once were. Each one teaches one. It's refusing to pull the ladder up after you climb. It's building platforms that weren't there for you, but will be there for someone after you're gone. And one more thing, don't wait to do something great. You don't need more followers. You don't need a spotlight. You need a heart. You need courage. You need the guts to say, this life won't just be about me, because in the end, they won't remember the car you drove. They'll remember how you made them feel. They won't quote your resume. They'll carry your words, your strength, your standard. So leave them something real, something solid, something eternal. Build a name that outlives the echo. Walk the kind of walk that generations will follow. Not because you wanted applause, but because you were bold enough to make a difference. That's the real win. Before we part ways, I want to say thank you. Thank you for your time, your focus, and your open heart. Thank you for sitting in the tension, wrestling with the hard truths, and refusing to settle for average. The fact that you're still here means something. It means you're hungry, not just for inspiration, but for transformation. And so I leave you with this. May your steps be bold, even when your path is unclear. May you fall forward every single time with purpose, with pride, and with unshakable resolve. May you choose discipline when motivation runs dry. May you trust your grit more than the noise. And when the lights fade and applause quiets, may your character still roar. May you build what lasts, not just what shines. May you leave more than a name. May you leave a legacy of lifted lives, of light carried forward, of purpose that echoes. And if the day ever comes when you feel like you've been knocked down too far to rise again, remember this: you are not finished. You are being forged. So keep going. The world won't always understand you, but it needs you now more than ever. Thank you. And may you walk forward with fire